Hello, everybody. This is Preston Poulter here with Pocket Jacks Comics, and I got some friends. We got Vicky, we got
Hello.
the SWC brothers,
Yay, hello.
and Jennifer is visiting from Dallas Film. And let's see, and we got some fans out there in the audience. So glad to see everyone. Um, I thought I would go ahead and start with what I think is going to be a pretty cool announcement. So let me open this up real quick. So
You are echoing just a little bit, Preston.
Mhm.
just a little bit.
I think it might be because Jen's mic is unmuted.
Hold on. Wait, I know how to solve this problem. How about now? Now should be fine, right?
Much better.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah, it's improved.
Still a little bit, but much better.
Okay. All right. There we go. All right. Where was I? Oh, yeah. I was sharing something.
Sorry I had to interrupt and
That's okay.
throw off your chain of thought.
Yeah, it shouldn't be echoing at all. Okay. So you can see this now. I'm hoping. Yes. Okay. So I've been working on a wiki. So this is the Comicsgate trademark wiki, and look, the simple things like, look, we have a navigation screen here. I had to figure out how to do all this crap, and it wasn't exactly user friendly. But
I used to be able to make web pages back in the day of HTML when we were just writing HTML, and now we couldn't do the fancy things. Now it's all like, oh, just click this, we'll do it for you.
Exactly. But
I would have learned how to make it. I would have learned how to make more, but then it's like all PHP, and it's like that's all this code. I don't know how to do this.
Yeah, then you have to learn how to code. Yeah, I'm not doing that. But yeah, here's Robotoad. Whoa.
Robotoad Rec Manlet and Hero Shack. This is the Comicsgate certified titles. And if you're like, what does it mean to be Comicsgate certified? Hey, what is Comicsgate certified? See, I've got this whole explanation for it here.
But basically, it means that you're not a doxer or scammer.
Yeah, exactly.
In your comics, you're allowed to make the comics you want to make, and not just specifically what one person demands that you make.
So the safeguarding customer information, deliver products on time, and refrain from engaging in targeted harassment or trade libel. See, kind of cool. It's kind of cool.
Nice.
And
trade libel is interesting because it's like very specific kind, isn't it?
You shouldn't go telling stories about your competitors. You just should, which is what trade libel is. Shouldn't
like saying that Nasser tried to destroy Liam somehow, and just not even prove it because there's no evidence, and it was
no more trade libel. Stop telling lies about your competitors. So if you don't tell lies about your competitors and you treat your customers right and you deliver your product on time, then smooth sailing as far as I'm concerned.
I don't know. It sounds impossible. I don't see how we're supposed to do all of that.
We're supposed to hold to that. I mean, come on. You're going to straitjacket me here. Come on.
And here we got a list of shared universe characters. So here is one written up by Zombie Nalikon, Orange Fury, which I thought was
familiar.
Cool.
Yeah.
So fighting. So he gives his stats. The character is absolutely typical in his ability to fight at close quarters. Agility. The character is extremely clumsy, slow to react, and careless in physical movement. Strength. The character is stronger than average, equivalent to a fit man of 30. Endurance. The character is significantly less healthy than average. Common causes of this 21st century are heart disease, diabetes, obesity, lung disease, long-term cancer diagnosis, or old age, or extreme youth. Reason. The character is below average IQ. And intuition. The character is almost completely unaware of his surroundings in any conscious sense. He is oblivious.
I just wanted to throw in here that I think we were discussing this earlier. There might be one vital characteristic missing, is that somewhere in this needs to reflect the fact that he beat the shit out of the supermodel he was having sex with.
Well, you see background. See, Orange Fury obtained his powers from reading Spider-Man comic while making love to a supermodel, which that needs to be, which he then beat the shit out of.
Right, his claim to fame. But that's where I feel like there should be a caveat after beating the shit out of her.
After beating the shit, here.
It'd be nice if it added a bonus to him. If anything.
Yeah. See, this is
It's a bonus power.
Bonus stats.
Exactly.
Right.
The best kind of love.
The ability to beat the shit out of women.
Yeah.
Especially if they're old. He seems to have he seems to have an easier time with that. I mean, what are the chances?
True, but I think maybe his superpower is that he's an equal opportunity abuser.
There you go.
Do that.
So anyway,
I don't think a lot of guys like that aren't really capable of getting into fights with men, though. They can't. Yeah. They can't stand up in a fight against a man.
That's why he's always beaten up. That's why he's always like in pain and his kidneys are bleeding or whatever. It's because he's getting this shit kicked out of him by real men.
That with a lot of guys who beat up women is that they're physically very incapable, so they can't win a fight.
There's people in the chat are asking, but how is he with routers? That's a good point.
That's his weakness. His great weakness is routers.
Yeah,
that is his kryptonite.
We're
trying to take care of a puppy. That's his
catchphrase: outwit and punch out. But so see, this is a shared universe character. So and if you want to know what that means, boom, here it is. Here's the whole legal license. So, we've been putting some time into creating this thing. Neat. But the idea is that, and I've explained it before, I don't like all the eBay ads that come on the site, but I don't have any control over that. But all right, so this is a character template, and I'm going to be putting some time into adding templates to the site so that when I ask people, hey, I want you to make a template for me for, your project or your character or yourself, you can just click template, fill out the information, and then it'll populate for you. So you don't have to understand how to code wiki or HTML or any of that. But that's on my to-do list. I've been working towards it. But the reason I'm bringing this up is, check it out. We have a contest coming up because I want to kick off this whole expanded universe concept. So the Comicsgate trademark universe is expanding. Here's what I want to do. So I've got $2,000 and I want to fund somebody's project that they write a character for the Comicsgate shared universe, and I will help fund it. Essentially, I will help bring it to life. So this is a challenge for writers. And, look, amateur writers, they've got their passion project that they want to go and they want to pitch and talk about. But here we've got a criteria of I want you to write towards a specific target. I want you to write towards bringing something to life that is going to engage the audience, but also will engage, and I put the criteria here. We got customer sales. Other creators want to use that character in their stories, and the visual appeal. That means, like artists are going to be like, oh, cool, I want to draw that. So, make sure to throw on a boob window or something. Mm-hmm. So I'm having a contest, and we're on June 24th. Here, that's going to be Wednesday. So instead of the writer stream, we'll have a pitch stream. So everybody can come on. Now, this will be a Comicsgate certified project, so you must meet the criteria, meaning you can't have any history of online harassment, trade libel, or abusing customers, which is most people, I'm going to assume.
Who has ever lived?
Yeah, exactly. So you come on, but by the time the pitch stream comes around, you must have created a wiki entry for yourself as a creator here on the Comicsgate trademark fandom, as well as for your character, just like we did with Orange Fury. And that page is the only pitch document you're going to be able to reference during your presentation. So what do we think?
Yeah, I would definitely want to go for this. I could use $2,000, and I know how to make a character.
What did I say?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so somebody needs to move the mic away from their speaker.
I think I've been getting a little bit of echo.
Huh.
Yeah, that's because they're in the same room.
Yeah.
I muted my mic.
Yeah, but her mic is muted, so you shouldn't hear anything.
So I just want to add on just very quickly to what Preston said. I would love to know from all of you, do you think that this is something that conceivably we could get a lot of entries for?
Well, I definitely. That's the thing is the important thing is to share the link around to get it seen, to let people know first of all that you're offering this.
Right.
That to me would be the real priority, is making sure there's eyes on this.
Right.
Especially if there's like a funding opportunity. I think people would say, "Oh, I got my character that I would like to get under the Comics Great character." And the thing is that what the comic I was thinking of presenting for something like this would be, I was thinking of the Cape Cock Follies one, but now that I think about it, I have a superhero character who's essentially an original character now, and I'm like, hey, I could bring this right away, and
I'd probably try and make something completely new just for this.
Yeah, in a way, it's kind of brand new. It's never been presented before, and I was thinking of presenting it before, and I was like, well, I want to wait for just in case of an emergency. Because it's always good to have something down the line for the show. But this would be a good opportunity for me to actually present that.
And now, John, I want to say that you're not giving away the character. The shared universe license is just allowing other people the right to publish your character in comic book form. You still retain the right to non-comic book properties. So
it'll be your character still.
Yeah, so it's still your character when it comes to like movies. Or even novelizations, I suppose. There's always that, like legally, how do you define between a novel that has a lot of pictures and a graphic novel? But I don't want to split hairs over it. But really, the thing everybody's concerned about is the movie rights, and you're going to retain all the movie rights. So think about it. If you came up with, you're like hot vampire chick, which I read it, back when John and I were hanging out in LA, I've read some of the stories. And so, he had like a hot vampire chick one. And the thing about in comics already has a hot vampire chick, but there's nothing wrong with more. 3 or 5 of them. Yeah, we can, you know what? There's no reason Vampirella has to have a monopoly on it. And she's
you can never have too many hot vampire chicks.
Yeah, exactly. So if you wrote like Hot Vampire Chick, the comic book, and it was wildly successful and everybody else was like taking it and publishing their own comic book stories, see, that increases the likelihood that somebody might want to make a movie, and then they'd have to come to you for the movie rights.
Yeah, right? As soon as any other creator is like, oh, I want to make a story with that character, all of a sudden you've sort of reached escape velocity, which is really nice.
I was actually wondering about that. If somebody else wrote a movie and went to the studio with a movie based on the character that this other person made, the other person still gets movie rights?
Well, yeah, it's their character.
Yeah, it's your character. And the legal agreement, which is, again, over there on the wiki, explains that it's your character and you retain all rights, except for the right to publish it in a comic book, and that you are openly licensing to other people. But those other people are under obligations, actually. They have to recognize in the comic book they make that that's your character, and they have to include the agreement there. So it's all.
Okay, and I just want to jump in here. It's Jen. I just want to jump in here really quick and clarify. We're still working through the terms of everything, because this is a contest where Comicsgate TM is the platform, or if you will, the incubator for these ideas. We will be the licensors, and there will be some profit sharing from the licensing. But the intention is that for the creator to retain rights to the character, and that Comicsgate TM will be the licensor and help, when that happens, get that off the ground. And there'll be a percentage of sharing, but we're working that out right now.
Right. And that's mainly for the contest winner. Jennifer was like, you sure are giving them an awful lot. You're investing in their project with money.
It's in exchange for like $2,000.
Yeah. So, So when we're talking about I would retain some owners, that's mainly for the money that I'm giving you to bring it. Because look, I'm going to give money to an artist to bring your thing to life, and then you're going to go crowdfund it, and whatever money you make, that's yours, and you have the character, and you have the total right to all the artwork. You're the owner of the artwork that I would have paid for, and all that good jazz. So, I'm just in the event of a movie deal, I think I'm asking for like 20 or 25%, but that is so far down the road of good problems to have. I would waste too much time on it. But yes, there's.
I think a lot of people will be interested in knowing how much they get in royalties, and also that's what I would have in mind is like how much would I be getting in royalties if a movie got made of this, and also is this going to be like Marvel being like, okay, we own Spider-Man now. Thanks for creating Spider-Man.
Right.
That's
right. So
the things I remember most about comic books.
Right.
So they steal the properties.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's look at it. So we got John's vampire chick or whatever, or Orange Fury. So let's say Orange Fury won the contest, and I paid money to an artist. And like $2,000, like most amateur artists, because again, we're working with amateurs here, amateur writers, and we're also going to try and be showcasing, like amateur artists. So $100 a page or less, for an amateur artist, that's not too bad. I want to say that's somewhere in the ballpark of what you can get.
Mm-hmm.
So that means $2,000 should be able to realize you, for the most part, a 23-page comic book. Now there's still maybe some more expenses when it comes to cover and whatnot, but that should still pay for most of the book, right? And then, like I said, you're going to own the artwork on it. You're going to own the movie rights to the character. The majority of it will own like a small percentage, like 25% in compensation for the money. But then if the character takes off, well, first, if the character doesn't take off, nobody needs to worry about it, right? You only got to worry about what happens if good things happen. Now, I wouldn't worry about losing control of it because you still own it. It's kind of legally recognized. And anyone who goes and uses your character, part of that agreement is they have to put in the credits, that you own that character, and they have to include that legal agreement in the book itself. Now, you could say, well, people could just go and steal my character. Yeah, they could do that anyway.
Yeah. And it would be no less wrong.
Right, exactly.
As Kaiser Crimson mentions, I assume you'd be able to make comics of your character too, right?
Because, of course, absolutely, yeah.
It would still be your character, so you can make all the comics you want.
Right. And that's the good thing is, like, if you make a character and then somebody else takes your character and they make it bigger, well, that's going to create more demand for when you go and make the next one. So it's really kind of very synergistic.
One concern would be if they make it worse or if they do something with a story that you don't want. But you can say that their story is like, that's their take on the character, and mine is, I'm the original creator, so my take.
That's why I would try and come up with a character like new, fresh. I wouldn't be going back. I'm not going to take one of my currently existing characters.
Right.
Yeah, you can make one that's disposable, or in a way, maybe not disposable so much as something that can have a lot of variation to it. That could be in all sorts of different settings, or even
that would be a good idea. Actually, it's like a good footprint for a character.
Right. Yeah,
and there's this illusion of canon that when it comes to Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or whatever, that the ultimate keepers of the IP have been very selective about how the story goes, and very with an eye towards continuity and whatnot. But I think at this point we realize that that's just an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the Max Landis video. It's like, how do you kill a vampire? It's like steak through the heart.
Steak through the heart. It's like garlic. It's like, no, you kill a vampire any way you want because vampires don't exist.
Exactly. Yeah. So here we're just kind of being more honest about it. Like if I'm writing my character and somebody else writes my character, I'm in no way bound to even acknowledge that that version of my character exists. I may want to say, oh yeah, that's a good idea you've done there, and I may want to use some parts of it, but at the same time, the universe they're creating is different than the universe you're creating, unless you two actually want to sit down and actively collaborate.
As long as your ego doesn't get bruised by somebody else's ideas being better than yours too.
Exactly. So I think it kind of enables a lot of healthy competition. And honestly, when I've seen most people do collaborations or offer to do collaborations, usually it would have resulted in a better product. But I think a lot of small time creators or writers get overly protective when they really shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's actually kind of a good practice for them to familiarize themselves with creating a character that other people then work with, because you kind of want that. You want a character that's so popular, other people want to make stuff with them.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and to answer this question, I mean, the whole idea here is that we're I'm investing money and I'm looking at this as like advertising. I want to get people using the wiki. I want to, get people understanding what Comicsgate is, what the shared universe is, what the certification program is. And so this kind of nicely does all of those things. And of course, social media is how we're going to let people know. It's going to be on YouTube and it's going to be on Twitter. And the creators involved are going to need to be, at least on Twitter and, sharing the links and coming on the YouTube channel and go, here's my idea. And, look, it's not going to be, you're not going to sit down to the pitch contest, present the best 5-minute pitch ever, and then go, okay, you won. It's going to be a continual thing. People will come in and I'll go, okay, I like that idea and that idea and that idea. Okay, like you 6 people, I want you to write up a script and, come present 10 pages, on the writer's stream, and then I'm going to want to see how well you follow through, how good the quality of the writing is, how the audience is reacting. It's going to be a process. And for those who are consistently putting in good quality work at the end of, the contest, they should be recognized as, okay, that's the one. So,
and I just want to, again, jump in here. We're working on all the details of everything right now. We certainly, because I'm looking at some of the comments and, master wall staring, but do these people have to come on the show? There will be a mentoring component to this. And part of it is helping people to present their work and be part of these writers groups and learn to be part of kind of a group critique, because that is really part of this new day, if you will, of Comicsgate TM. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You want to be able to bring more people into you want to bring people into Comicsgate. You don't want to exclude them.
Yeah, it's also an important step for any writer, I think, to be able to have some experience presenting, like pitching and then presenting their works to other people who can then comment on it. Because a lot of writers, they don't have a lot of opportunity to do that. This is one of the only opportunities comics writers have.
This is something that everyone should be supporting. It's a great idea just by itself, is just getting some more eyes on people who otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to get their work seen.
And I'd look at it this way. If you wrote up your character on the wiki and you came and you pitched it, and then I'm like, all right, that sounds good, I want you to write up some pages for me, and then you came and you presented it, and you didn't get chosen, you've still developed skills that if you're actually going to be a writer, you will need all of those things. You'll need to create, character bios, pitch documents. You'll obviously need to be writing scripts, and you'll need to be presenting them to skeptical audiences in competitive environments and get people to go, yeah, that sounds good to me. That's what writing is. So,
yeah, it's not even so much a competition as something, a necessity of all writers is to be able to try to make their stories or their writing that can grab an audience, they're going to be able to get
internet blood sports. That's one of the things I also really like about the writing streams, is that we all understand what's trying to be made, So when we have a critique about a work, it's not even necessarily like you need to go back. You need to go back and fix this. We never do that.
Right.
So it's more like a workshop.
Yeah. Exactly. And again, I just want to jump in here and say, oh, you muted me.
But they can still hear you, right?
Yeah, I can actually still hear you.
Yeah, they can still hear you
through his mic.
From my mic. That's why I muted you. Yeah.
Great. Okay,
That's where the echo was coming from when we found it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So one thing I just want to say is that this is an opportunity. The way to think about this is almost like a creative incubator. Does that make sense? Like this is almost like a VC version of developing comic book content.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be asking people to go through a process similar to what startups go through in pitching their ideas.
Yeah, and that's good for writers to try and get used to. If they're not used to it, it's good to at least try it once. And some writers are like, no, I don't want to put my writing up against it. But somebody else has to look at it if you're really writing.
Yeah. So there we go. So that's the contest. So that's going to be going down. What date did I put here on the thing? June 24th. So 3 weeks from now. So that gives you 3 weeks to come up with your concept. And again, you don't need a script. You need to have created a page for yourself and your character on the Comicsgate TM, which I will put a link to the description of this video. So you'll need to go and, create your character, whatever visual aids you want, and that will be the only pitch document you got. Oh, hey, Dragon, how you doing? Good to see you. I know there's a lot of shakeups over there in your neck of the woods.
I know, something going wrong did something.
Just a few.
Just when I stopped reporting on it, like the world exploded.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of requests for another clip stream.
Oh yeah, we should do that.
Yeah,
we got clips that are ready to go.
Yeah, I got some good ones.
Awesome.
In fact, I made another one because the one I premiered at the end is like I made another video right after that, and we could play that one.
Okay.
Is Tim Lim allowed to be Comicsgate? He certainly could be.
Yeah, exactly. Tim Lim can absolutely be Comicsgate.
In a way, though, he also he sort of doesn't need it. He doesn't need.
Yeah, he's kind of bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, like him and Mark have their own, their own circle. Basically, they don't need to be seen through some kind of showcase or anything.
They don't.
Which is sold out in 2 days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. He sold all of his copies of his newest comic in 2 days.
700 books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's put me to shame. I don't know what he's got that I don't got.
I think a bunny rabbit.
Yeah, the rabbits and I think that art style, the art style of him and Mark combined is sort of going to always be that consistent thing. There's something about it.
I think it's just the typical Asian story. They enter a field and then they just dominate all the.
Yeah, there's an element of that. There's definitely part of that.
Damn Asians. All right, let's see. So I brought some more Rift for everybody.
Yeah, we're wrapping up the rest of the comic, and then we talk about the TV show or something.
Yeah, I mean we can certainly do some of that now. Here we're sharing that. Now this it's actually 4 issues, but they really condensed a lot of it when they made the TV show. Like the 4 issues, I guess, was like more like a movie concept, and the TV show was obviously way shorter. But,
yeah, the single episode of like Amazing Stories or whatever.
Yeah, the single episode of Amazing Stories that it got made into. But so we'll go over some of that. So all right, so we got the kid. All right, so this is the mom, who will of course be voiced by Vicky.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
And then we got the kid, who, all right, Thomas, you can do the kid.
All right.
And Patriarchal Ape can be the aviator.
Can I be nobody? I'm hungover.
I could be the aviator.
Okay.
Howard Hughes.
So,
Hughes, the aviator.
All right, fine. Then I will be. So I'll be random male voices, and Jennifer will be whoever else comes up. How's that?
Oh, okay.
There we go. All right. So we're starting off, and we got Vicky here saying, and by the way, I did upload this PDF to the Discord. If anyone needs to download it real quick.
So I can actually read it.
You sure can.
I know.
I can read it off of here, but I might as well download it and read it off of the Discord.
That's right.
That damn Skippy.
That's right, Ethan Van Skyver, but straight. Everyone is allowed to
Except for the haters.
Yeah.
I mean, except actually for the lovers.
Oh. They love too much. That's the problem. They're too trusting.
Yeah, exactly. Unless they're a doxing ring or they're hostile to their own customer. There you go.
It's like, say, blocking them. When
are you allowed to smash your own mailbox?
You are totally allowed to smash your own mailbox.
Yes, that is not a rule.
Yeah.
No rule against smashing mailboxes. It's nice not to discriminate against mailbox smashing.
or even as much as I disapprove of somebody trying to rescue puppies with parvo and then claiming that you cured parvo, that's also not against the rules.
That is not against the rule. I can't stop you.
I advise against it in general, but it's not against the rules.
Okay.
All right. So has everyone downloaded the pages?
Yeah, I got them.
Okay, all right.
I got it.
All right, Vicky, I think you're starting us off.
I do. Elijah?
Probably went to the bathroom or to find the snack machine.
They think I'm crazy. I'm not crazy. Everyone here is crazy, telling me this is Kansas. I'm from Kansas. This isn't Kansas. It is Kansas. You believe me, don't you? You look scared. You're not scared of me, are you? My jacket. Look in the left-hand pocket. That's it. Grab that candy bar. We're on the next page now.
We are.
All right. I get scared every time I fly, puke my guts out. I eat one of those. I don't feel so bad. Here, it's not for me, little buddy. It's for you. You get scared, take a bite. Do me a favor. Grab that pen. I want to write something down. If this really is Kansas, go to Greenville. Find my wife, Pauline Cole. Here's her number. If she doesn't pick up, go to the police station. Grab Chief Simmons. He'll help track her down. Kid, I need you to promise, okay? Promise.
Elijah, there you are.
Hey, you.
Yeah. And then, all right, we got, this is Aviator.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you, thank God. You have to tell him I'm not crazy.
You were in an accident.
Lady, it was no accident. I got shot down. I had 5 zeros up my rear end.
Elijah, it's time to say goodbye.
And then, I thought you sedated him. I gave him enough to knock out a horse. Well, you better give him some more.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the Aviator is he's fading out.
You have to leave me. You can't. You have to help me get away from these people.
And then Vicky.
They're going to help make you better.
I know everyone thinks I'm crazy, but I'm not. Don't forget, kid. Greenville, Chief Simmons, Clara. I got a little boy, too, Jack. I shipped out when he was born. He's 2 now. Never seen him walk or talk.
He's under. And then, all right, so we're going out. We got... Yeah, but the problem with this one is it's hard to figure out who these characters are.
Yeah, not sure who the guy is.
I'll
go ahead and read this one. I asked him what day it was. He said Christmas, 1941.
What about this Greenville thing?
I called. No Cole on the Greenville police, even called Greenville in Missouri and Iowa just to make sure. I understand your concern. You've got a good heart, but his head's just scrambled.
He said he had a wife you could call.
We'll find out who he is and where he belongs. Don't worry. You and your son drive safe to California.
Can I eat this?
What did I tell you about taking candy from strangers?
He's not a stranger. He's my friend. Is he going to be okay?
I think so. He's just got to get his mind back.
And
he hit his...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. No, then...
There's another line I had above it. Yeah. Oh, is that the kid? Greenville's only like 15 miles away, and it's all blue lines.
He hit his head, honey. He wasn't making any sense.
We can be there in 20 minutes. It's the next exit.
We have to get to California.
Mom, please.
Elijah Warren Whitaker, that's enough.
That's the exit. Mom, please. Mom, you just passed it. I said we'd help. I promised.
Damn it, Elijah.
Mom, what are you doing?
And then...
Oh, you're not supposed to back up on the freeway.
You want to go to Greenville or not?
So they're heading off to Greenville. And then we have, close off the roads, no one in or out. And I need to speak to the lady on that 911 call. What do you mean they let her go? What the hell? Get her back. Got a windy day here. Lots of leaves as we're driving in.
Not sure who's talking. Is this the kid?
You? Yeah.
That's the kid, yeah. This is the address.
This is the address, 415 Maple, but no house.
It's like I said, honey. He got hit in the head. At least we tried.
And we got big crater here with the airplane. Everybody's backing up to it. And then we got the rescue teams. Hey, you, tow guy. And then Jen, you want to give me this mask? No, I'll do it.
No, I can do it. I can do it. Hey, you, tow guy.
No, I need this one here.
Oh, Kaminsky, NTSB. Lead the wreck to us. Get everyone away from that plane. Where the hell is that Bowman?
Oh, you should actually read this part because it's a lady.
Sorry, the geeks took a wrong turn. Got an arrow down on the 911 lady. She's with a kid. Her son. Amber Alert or just APS? Or APB? APB?
APB is fine for now. Just get her back the hell back here. Jesus. What is going on up there? And then you go. Oh wow, we got fighter jets. Deep flight. This is Kaminsky. Go ahead for Kaminsky. We're trying to keep this low key. Take the altitude up and the volume down, please. Just following orders, sir. Whose orders? And then...
Mine. Your lady geek up of here is telling me to clear 50 miles of airspace near a major city and a damn international airport. You want that done without causing a shitstorm of panic? I need a reason. My reason, unless you got a better one, is military maneuvers. Fine. Take that team, get the lady and her kid, and bring them in.
Pulled a phone trace. We're tracking. She's pinged cell towers not too far from here.
Mom, stop.
What's wrong?
There's the police station.
Hi there. What can I do you for?
Are you Chief Simmons?
Simmons? No Chief Simmons here. My name is McClarty.
Okay. See? There's no Chief Simmons. Now we're done with this, Elijah. That's final.
Mom,
look. Yeah.
Old-timey photo.
Yeah. Mom, that's him.
1938. Jesus.
Oh, sorry. Controlling this. Here we go. Okay. You're setting up shop at the guard armory. Orders are to transport him there. He got a nasty head wound. I think he belongs right where he was until we find his family. According to the orders, sir, they've located his family. And they are putting the dazed out, but he's not too dazed out. So they're taking the pilot, but he's somehow managed to slip out the pen.
Yeah, he got the pen that the kid gave him. And then we have these two scientists. All right. Thomas, you give me the bald-headed guy here. All right. Collect every scrap of metal, every mote of soot. Miss nothing.
The whole site is hot, sir.
Then we're running out of time. Why isn't that monitor set up? I need to know how long we have to rebuild that plane.
I don't see it yet, but my readings are off the charts.
It's two-dimensional, invisible unless you're looking right into it. Do you read the briefs or not? Where did you get your degree?
Whatever. And I got dual PhDs in math and particle physics.
Which means you know nothing.
Dad, leave the new guy alone. By my calculations, it should be coming back into view any moment now. Prepare to be astonished. So those are the second 10 pages of the Rift.
Something crazy was just about to happen.
Yeah. So the Rift that opened and allowed the pilot in is about to reappear.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So very Bermuda Triangle-y.
It is very Bermuda Triangle. And so far, again, the TV episode follows pretty closely with these pages. They did make some important distinctions, but I think I want to wait till we get an issue 2, because when you get an issue 2 is when like the story really starts to divert from what they ended up going with on the TV show, and I think you can kind of see why. So do we have any feedback? What do you guys think of the?
I do want to ask, how late or this is like the 20th page that we just ended on here. What part of the episode did this end on? Because I didn't watch the show.
All right, so the comic is split up it's split over 4 comics, which they published a trade paperback. Exactly. Next week, same Rift time, same Rift channel there. So it's a trade paperback over 4 issues. So the story gets way bigger, but they pared down a lot of that. So what's going to happen in issue 2 is there's going to be another Rift open, and then there's going to be like another character come out of that Rift, and they introduce this element where a boy comes out of like the 1950s. But he's from like an abused home or something, and then people start to connect the dots of, oh wow, it seems like these rifts are kind of, helping abused people get out of bad environments. And in the next few pages, the aviator's gonna be like, oh, I never got to say goodbye to my wife before the thing, and so there's going to be this idea floated of. And here's where we're kind of going into metaphor. The rift is, a rift in time, but it's also there to kind of heal rifts in interpersonal relationships and stuff. And I'm like, okay, so is it God then? Because previously, like up till now, when reading through the story, it seems like it's a natural phenomenon.
Yeah, some kind of weird scientific.
They never do explain why the aircraft carrier goes back in time in the final countdown. It
just happens exactly, and I'm kind of okay with that. And
depends on the story,
right? Yeah,
it's about what the story is about. But what I was asking is, does the episode end where the first issue ends?
No, I'm sure this is like the first 5 minutes tops, isn't it?
Yeah, done in 5 minutes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they go through issue 1 in like the first 5 to 10 minutes. And they're out of there pretty quickly. So, yeah. But then, like I said, in issue 2, like there's another rift and there's another character, and the episode gets rid of all that. So in issue 2 and 3, we're going to start introducing all these other characters. The TV show is like, nope. The TV show's got the mom, the boy, the aviator, and then the ancillary characters around those 3, and that's it. So it greatly simplifies the comic book.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if it'll lose that point then about the rifts trying to save people.
Yeah, that's now that you mention it, it's like, is it going to kind of lose the entire point of the story, or does it focus more on what the point of the story is by just focusing on one character? Yeah, I mean, I would kind of like to know now. In fact, where this issue, where the 20th page ends here, was actually making me more interested than the 10th page. So I was like, oh wait, it's about.
Why is that to you think?
Well, because it has a bigger cliffhanger, of course. But
seeing the rift opening again, you naturally, if we've already been following like what just happened with this first rift opening, the second rift is going to be like, okay, it's opening again. Why is it doing that?
Yeah, and it's like something is supposed to go in or come out, and why, and they seem to even know, they seem to have some knowledge about it. So it's introducing all these characters, but the characters we also were already familiar with, we know a bit more about them, or we have a more familiarity of them. So it kind of helps the strength of the characters and that kind of stuff too.
So to answer your question, what they did in issue 2, the abusive father who broke the kid's hand, or at least damaged the kid's hand, because the kid has a bandaged hand.
Oh yeah, that's right. He had to split.
Right.
Yeah, and they've been kind of dropping some hints in issue 1 that they were fleeing from something, or there's an abusive, because the mom is all like, no, whatever. So what you'll see in the next few pages is the dad comes in, and the comic does not explain how the dad found them. Right? It's just like he's in their back seat at a stop. He just climbs in their back seat. Like, where did he come from? The plot opened up and he stepped into it. So it's they don't exactly, but he's like a total controlling stalker, and he just dominates the mom. The mom, as soon as he is back in her life, she falls back into protecting the abusive behavior and stuff. And
so she's enabling.
Yeah, so she immediately falls back into enabling the whole pattern. And what the TV show makes just real simple is the dad died. He was a great father. He was a wonderful person, and he died, and he's missed.
That's a giant change.
That's a giant change.
Yeah, a giant change. But I was getting ready to be pissed off either way.
Right.
If the mother is in the comic, if the mother is enabling the behavior, and then in the TV show, because normally I was especially expecting that, just like Man Stupid, every single TV show and movie.
Yeah, Man Evil.
Right.
And it's interesting if they're actually finally changing that behavior, because people finally noticed, oh, men don't like it when you just shit all over them nonstop 24/7.
Right.
So even if you do have an abusive father, making it so that he is like some kind of super villain. He's the super villain of the family.
Yeah, like pure evil, and like the mom had nothing to do with it. She wasn't even involved in that. It's like magic, where it's like the mom somehow wasn't even involved in this relationship she had a child in. It's like, that doesn't make sense.
It's especially not true to life, especially after you watch it personally happen like a dozen times.
Yeah. Or even on Cops. You can see that
if you've watched one episode of Cops.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see, when you go
lean, basically leaning to, like all the paring down into the TV show, I think is what this guy's talking about.
Oh, okay.
I'm wondering, with the TV show, they would have to really refocus the attention of the show then if they're getting rid of other people who through the
they ended up recharacterizing the thing. So now it's the aviator is now kind of stepping into the void of the missing, dead, beloved father.
That can work, but at the same time, so far the comic book sounds more interesting.
Yeah, the comic book sounds like it has way more character meat and actual emotionality. Even if it's got problems, even if there's problems with the comic, it's like it's still trying to tell this an emotional story about these characters, and it's like, that's interesting.
It all depends on how it's done. The TV show could end up being better than the comic.
Yeah, that's still possible.
I gotta see more.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, and I will show you more next week. But that it's the TV show makes that huge departure, and what you're going to see here in the pages is when the mom starts enabling, it's like, okay, who's the character who we're supposed to be liking and following? Because up until now, like, the mom seems to be the protagonist main character. She's the one who rescued the pilot from the plane. She's the one driving the car. She's the one making the decision to go see, explore Greenville, wherever it is. But then when the abusive dad comes back, and now she's kind of into his thrall, it's like, okay, well, she's not exactly our hero or even really our protagonist anymore. And then the story gets kind of muddled. You know, it's like, who are we supposed to follow? Where are we going? And they're introducing these other characters from this other rift, and the story becomes very confused. So one of the reasons I wanted to really present this is because, like, the TV show cleans that up and just like, no, none of that happened. It's this, and this. These three characters, they come together. Boom. Oh, hey. It's so nice to have you. Oh, now I got to go back in the timer thing. So, you know, it's this kind of bittersweet.
The mystery.
I've kind of felt through these 20 pages that the kid was more of the main character, not the mom, not the aviator, but the kid. He's the one that pushes her. He's the reason why she stops. He's the reason why they stopped in the first place. You know, at the crash. I mean, just he's. Mystery. Yeah, he's what's pushing the entire story.
Well, again, I have to see the next issue.
He's really the source of the impetus for action.
Exactly.
Again, though, we'd have to see. I'd have to see the next issue to. I'm at least on board with wanting to read where this goes. But yeah, it could get really messy and muddled if there's like no focus. The kid. I was figuring the kid and or the pilot, the aviator, could take over the story at that point. If they don't, though, then it's going to feel like really weak, very wishy-washy, and we're going to wonder, who are we even supposed to be following?
Or kind of adrift in its own premise. Like, that's one thing about a premise like this. There's like, oh, it's a mystery portal and that kind of thing. It's like, if you let that take over and the characters don't hold down the plot, then, everything's kind of adrift, and there's, having an emotional core. It's kind of what you need to.
At the same time, you already have time travel. You're introducing time travel to like the modern day and World War II. That by itself can already hold a lot of people's attention. It could have been a procedural. I'm not saying it should have been, but this could have straight up been like scientific military procedural.
It sounds like that's what the TV show was trying to do. Was focus more on the premise. It's like, hey, we got this crazy premise. Let's go with the premise, and we'll just vaguely reuse some of the characters.
The comic does this too, though. But it's also introducing these characters. It seems to be a theme in the comic. Is that it's really more about this family, about the boy.
Actually, what you're bringing up is a really good thing to consider. When you're creating these characters, you're creating the stories, you're creating the characters, you're creating the stories, and you're going to leap channels, right? You're going from books, you're going from TV. Things start to take on a different dimension once you're in a different channel. So it's just something to think about. And as we grow this Comicsgate TM universe, it's something that writers and creators are going to have to think a lot about if what they're aspiring to is something greater, something beyond just the book.
How it can be adapted to other things, and
I think
that can be changed.
There's a lot of writers who probably aren't ready for something like that. It's like, oh, you took my work, you completely changed it, you ruined it, and it's like, well, sometimes you have to do that for TV or movies.
Yeah, your perfect version, like we said, and Doug Snaple said, all of us really say, is that the perfect version of your story should be your story. It shouldn't be an adaptation. You shouldn't be expecting a TV show or a movie to make a better version of your story. The best version of your story should be yours. It should be your comic or your novel or whatever it is you're directly working on.
We were talking about it. Well, I mentioned the Watchmen. When the movie came out, before the movie was released, I went and I read the comic. It got me interested in the idea. It's like, oh, people want to see this in a movie. People want to see this enough so that it's going to be made into a movie. Let me go read the comic first. And I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I watched both. I'm glad I read the comic. And I'm glad I watched the movie. And in the movie, they don't have the whole thing, the comic book story about the pirates. They don't even have that.
They got rid of the alien octopus squid entirely and replaced that with basically Dr. Manhattan. And I think, to be honest, as a movie, it works better. And I understand.
I thought it was a good movie. I know there's a lot of people, and that's another thing.
It wasn't perfect. There's
people need to understand, though, is that there's a lot of hipsters out there who are like, it's not exactly.
Yeah.
I'm really tired of them.
Yeah, you cannot go into a movie expecting it to be like beat for beat exactly like the comic book was. It's an adaptation. It has to be different just so it functions in that medium. Not just, and people say, oh, they could have used the squid. And it's like, yeah, they could have used the squid, but like audiences wouldn't be laughing their way out of the movie being like, no, I'm not watching the rest of
the movie still works. And other than that, though, other than the squid and the pirate thing, and there's like one other thing, but everything else is almost exactly like the story in the comic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay too. It's getting more eyes on the comic. Like I said, it's what compelled me to go and read it. And now we own the comic. We went and bought that.
Yeah, I have it right over there.
Yeah. So, it's I'm glad you guys are enjoying the Rift pages. I really like the Rift issue 1. I gotta say, like, I became disenchanted with the story when the abusive dad shows up, and then the mom kind of falls back into his way, and I'm like, all right.
I really had no idea. I was like, where is the story going? It's like, hey, maybe is this story going? Because it kind of, one of the biggest criticisms I had is that from the first issue, is that it kind of looked like it was going somewhere.
By the way, the Scott Pilgrim movie was just like the comic book, and it sucked. So.
I actually still like the movie. I like the comic and the movie, but the thing is that I'm fine with them on their.
Have a wrench because I gave you one. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Somebody's like, why do I have a wrench because I gave you one?
Like, I don't think the Scott Pilgrim movie is a great masterwork. I thought it was just like a goofy movie. I kind of prefer the comic, but the comic doesn't have like a great payoff. It's just kind of a sudden payoff, and it reads like a very early work from a writer.
That was one of the things I appreciated about it, though, is it's more like real life, except with video game tropes essentially throughout the story.
Yeah, it's like one of the things I liked most about Scott Pilgrim was that at the end of the comic, him and Ramona do the X-slash from Chrono Trigger on Gideon.
He fights Nega Scott. He's supposed to fight Nega Scott at the end, and now it's like, oh, we just have a lot in common. That's it. So that's supposed to be the ultimate final fight, and nothing happens.
Yeah,
and it's great. It's a great joke.
One of the changes from the TV show, which I liked, was they got rid of the those two scientists who were just like the bald bossy scientist was arguing.
His daughter.
Yeah, was just bossing around. Like they got rid of that. Like it becomes, they kind of got the Mulder Scully thing when they got the woman and the guy, and they're both kind of the suited investigators who were, kind of big on the force, and we don't need like the scientists sniping at each other, so we kind of cleaned up.
Again, though, that's kind of like part of the procedural element. That was a weak part. But that is also part of the concept of the procedural, is these scientists going into this completely new scientific. It's like
also the exploration, the concept of the exploration of this weird sort of scientific mysterious phenomenon that I think is a lot of potential for being really interesting. And it's like, I don't know if it's going to go anywhere though, and it may just be kind of like, who cares? I don't know. I really have no idea.
And like, I'm still curious to know more about like how this story came up, because, like, why is it presented by Jeremy Renner? Like,
oh yeah.
Why was he walking down the street one day going, I need to make a comic book? But Jennifer, says that this story was specifically written for Steven Spielberg. She's like, you can tell. We've got single mom. We got World War II stuff.
Yeah.
We got.
He's very right.
It really mentioning like what was it, Amazing Tales
motif in Spielberg movies,
mm-hmm.
and if you were to see the show, you could see how he, it's epic. Like everything about it is epic, and that's so Spielberg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Scenes of people looking very Spielbergian.
Yeah.
What was that other? I was going to say, it's like that other movie that was like Spielberg, 80, like throwback to the 80s.
Super 8.
I was going to say, 8mm. Oh no, wait, that's the movie about and Nicolas Cage and investigate snuff films.
Yeah. Super 8 is good.
Super 8, that was the movie. But yeah, that was
which I kind of liked, but it was trying so hard to be Spielberg at some point. But I think in a way it was like going for that sort of ET sense, and
I appreciate what they're trying to do, but as somebody who's seen almost all of those movies, it's just like, okay, I know where this is going, and it went exactly there, and it's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's okay. I mean, and it's still not better than Jaws.
It's not better than the Goonies.
I like Jaws.
I like Jaws.
Yeah,
it's impossible. I just want to give a shout out because Dallas Film is doing a series of drive-ins. The first movie that we're showing is Goonies. The second movie that we're showing is Jaws. The third movie we're showing is Raiders.
It's awesome. a natural triple feature. It's made so those movies are like almost perfect movies in a way.
Yes.
I hate saying that, but Jaws is just about the most perfect movie.
Yeah, what's really interesting, and I didn't catch this until I listened to the Script Notes podcast talk about Raiders of the Lost Ark. In that the Raiders is structured a little weird in that if you theoretically take our protagonist out of the story doesn't actually change.
Yeah, he has almost no bearing. The Nazis get the Ark, they open it, and they all melt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Nazis get the Ark, they open it, they melt.
Yeah.
So what are the things that, and like essentially his big climatic moment is actually just to close your eyes and ignore what's going on.
Yeah. It's a weird hero moment because it really is.
Moment. Yeah. But it's still a good movie,
it works so well. It's still such a good, entertaining movie, anyways.
Right. Now, what the writers were saying is that the script is introducing the central conflict of the story being Indiana Jones's trouble with faith, and that when when they're talking about the Ark of the Covenant in the library, and the guy asks, what is that coming out of it? He's like, fire, the power of God, or something.
He's pointing towards the crease on the paper.
Yeah,
it's like, what is that? It's like
right.
The power of God, and it's like, I think it's just a crease on it. It's literally just a line. It's just a black line
right
in the middle of the paper.
Like in the other wonderful classic motion picture, Con Air, where the guy's like, all right, what's that? And Cyrus goes, that's a rock, and just brushes it away.
Yeah. So, by making it more of the story about his conflict with faith, and then at the end of the movie, he's accepting that God exists, and that God is all powerful, and that he doesn't have to correct things because God's going to correct stuff for him.
Which kind of doesn't work either. Also,
right? Yeah, I mean, maybe. Because I can kind of see it, but at the same time,
the
story's about fighting Nazis over a historical artifact. Really.
Yeah, exactly. It's like his whole argument with faith is like they open the box, they open the Ark, nothing happens, and he's like, close your eyes, and it's like, you just decided that you're wrestling with faith instantly over because they actually opened it and nothing happened. It's like, it doesn't really make sense. But
the whole point of the entire story, everything was leading up to that part where the guy with a huge scimitar shows up and starts swinging it around.
Yeah.
And Indy shoots him. That's what the whole movie was about.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
The central theme of the movie is shoot a guy with a sword.
Yes. So, and casting is
again
very
in
important.
Temple of Doom.
Yes, Dragon. There's a saying that casting is storytelling. So
yeah, that's an element that comics don't have. That's like sometimes sorely missing.
Yeah,
because otherwise you're just reading it in kind of your own voice in your mind. Yeah, so I know there's sometimes people will talk about how they read this in somebody else. It's like, I heard Sean Connery's voice when I read this. You can imagine that.
Yeah, and that helps, but it's also like sometimes you have to imagine like the music and a good soundtrack can really help. But sometimes I really like reading a comic that's just no sound, and I don't want to hear the sound. I don't want to imagine it.
I don't want to see sound effects. That's another thing that I don't think I'll be able to do for my own comic books is adding the sound effects, the whop.
Yeah, yes, or wank, or that.
Yeah, it's forever going to make me think of Captain America. I command you to wank.
To wank, yeah. There's something about sound effects that I feel should be used way more sparingly. It really depends. Like if you have a silly comic,
if you draw it well enough, if you just draw the action well enough, you don't need to add wank.
Yeah, or any sound effect. But at the same time, I do understand, like, people do it, and I don't have a problem with it, but it's more about when I am making my own comics. It's like sound effects need to be so limited to display something that you wouldn't know is happening otherwise. Like, you don't need sound effects of like a gun firing that says blam if you see the gun firing on the page right there. But at the same time, it can still be effective if it's like a big, takes up the entire background and it's
meant to be cartoony. It can work, but it's got to be done right in the style.
It really depends on how it's executed, and still, I give a lot of leeway to people who do it. But for me, it's like if you see a gunshot, it should be visceral enough visually that you don't need a blam on there. Ideally,
Haru prefers animation to comic books, especially anime. You'll end up with a good OST. Anime not related. But also, that's the problem with animation is it's insanely expensive, especially now with the unions. If you think making a movie with a union is expensive, just imagine trying to get an animation made.
Yeah. Right. Orson Scott Card mentioning the stand.
We started talking about this episode talking about the contest, and look, you can realistically make a book. Now it's not going to have amazing artwork, but it'll have, I think, passable artwork for a couple of $1,000, and that's the magic of comic books, is you can tell these big epic stories on a fairly limited budget.
Yeah,
it's a good way to get a start too. It's a great way to start.
My brother's definitely commissioned a lot of people. We're poor, and my brother's commissioned a lot of people to make art. You can get really amazing artists to produce a whole lot of great art, and it doesn't take all that much money. You just have to know where to look. And
actually, you're talking about like a character that would be so popular or something that people like enough that they would want to make it on their own. I've gotten a lot of fan art from people who just like how Laylee looks or what kind of character she is, that people will just do art of her for free and stuff. And it's like, wow, that's crazy. But you know,
of course, then when an artist will post that to their own Twitter or other like whatever site.
And they can get seen for like, here's this character that I just did fan art of, and other people will see it and be like, oh, that's cool art, so that's good for the artist, and then at the same time also it's good for the creator of the character.
And it's another important reason why we need this for writers, because there is no DeviantArt or Hentai Foundry for writers. Well, Hentai Foundry does have a writing section.
They all have writing. All of them have writing sections, but like actually an actual focus on writers is very underrated. It's very
it's like fanfiction.net is the only place I can even think of, and that is focused on writers. And yeah, I don't read fanfiction.
And there's no basis for actual critical analysis. It's just either a bunch of nerds who are like, this sucks because this
sucks because you use this character that I like.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, or whatever their reason is.
It's like Harry Potter fan fiction.
Yeah, there's something for a good use for.
You have to read it.
Focused criticism
with an image. If you know the art is good, usually after 1 second.
Mm-hmm. What concept are you two thinking of putting forward for the contest?
Well, me individually, I already had that the one for. That the Project Rebirth idea where I rewrote everything. I refuculated all of it.
It's not going to be Riri anymore. It's not Riri Williams or whatever her stupid.
Yeah, I basically focused all of it down to be a completely original universe, original characters. The names are distinct, all that kind of stuff. All I would need to do is like kind of come up with a more unique design that's not just Iron Man, I guess, but that's the one I was thinking of, actually. Just today, I was like, you know what? Because that's a character that I could easily hand off to any other creator, anyone who would want to, make their own stories with that character. It's like, oh yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
I haven't thought of anything. I'd have to think of something if I was going to make a character. What I want to do is try.
Yes, that much is true.
Yeah. 3 weeks is actually plenty of time to come up with the idea for a character, and then
well, I'm not asking for a script. I'm asking for 5 minutes and a pitch document.
Even 1 week should be more than enough time for a writer to come up with that.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. Well, is there anything else we wanted to go over?
Somebody did ask, does Comicsgate TM allow hentai?
Sure, absolutely.
Oh, it could.
Yeah.
Somebody's saying, I remember them talking about keeping it kid-friendly. I would
No. I mean, not with all the stuff people have been talking about,
from hentai to Jesus, everything is allowed in Comicsgate TM.
But again, we do have a rating system. And the one thing that I have been thinking of is that essentially when you create a character, you need to kind of designate if they're kind of more angled towards kids or if they're more angled towards adults, because there's going to be 3 basic areas. There's going to be all ages, 12 and up, or adult. And if you're angling towards adult, then the character could be used for the adult section or for the 12 and up section. Obviously, if you're making it a 12 and up section, then that means okay, you're not going to be adding the adult elements in there. Mm-hmm. But, you can, like, for instance, if I make an adult character and someone else is like, that's cool, I don't necessarily want to use the sexy elements, but okay, so I'm going to write it for like a 12 and up audience, so that's fine. But I don't want like an adult character to end up in a kid's story. So that's where if you can't have the same character name used both in all ages and in adult. So that's where if you have an all ages character, then you can use that character in all ages or again 12 and up, but you can't cross over. So you need to kind of, when you come up with your character concept, indicate whether essentially the one area where that character can't go, whether it's adult or all ages.
Asuka is saying that there should be an entire ratings element for SWC.
It's like beyond XXX.
Yes, there's kids, there's adult, there's teens, and then there's SWC.
And I gotta say, Hero Shack, I've been helping him and with his Kickstarter. Because he's never done a Kickstarter before, and I've gone through experience helps when it comes to these crowdfunding things. Mm-hmm. So, I looked at this Kickstarter, I'm like, okay, you've done the typical thing of, I make a comic, here's my comic. But I'm like, that's, look, I want to see a $30 tier. So, put your head together. I want you to come up with some kind of things to make a $30 tier. And I want it to be something that people would feel good about backing. I want there to be enough value there that someone's like, oh, I think I will back it for $30. And I wanted to come up with a $75 tier. Mm. And,
not just $200 for a cardboard box.
Right, and his wife was like, really thanks for your help. Because, you got to think about, the different values you're going to add at the different price points. Because you talk about 2 different customers. There's one customer who just wants value. They just want to get the physical comic as cheap as they possibly can. Mm-hmm. And then there are the other people who got money they want to spend and they want the bells and whistles. And you got to serve both markets. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. But he is very oriented towards the Christian stuff, and he's been posting out there on Twitter, Comicsgate TM praise, and I'm very happy to have him under the umbrella, and he's more than welcome. So
Master Wall Staring makes a good point in the chat up there, by the way, about if people being interested in the competition could match the $2,000. I mean, if other people wanted to be like, hey, I want to help back a comic, there could be other competitions.
Absolutely, yeah.
What I was actually thinking myself is you can do this thing. This is a really good idea, but also just this is like funding an entire comic.
Right.
But the contest is essentially to have this character added to the
roster of the trademark.
Yeah, and I figure you could also do that essentially just asking for the character by itself to be added to this roster for like maybe a prize of $100 or something like that. Just to add the character. No need to make an entire book.
Theoretically, people could do that for nothing.
Theoretically, yeah. But I mean, it's
for nothing, yes. But
when you see it and you hold it in the, when you hold the book in your hands and you see the story, that's when people are, look, if you go, hey, I came up with an idea for a redhead with big tits who can never find her pants.
I'll give you $100 for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. That idea sounds kind of dumb, but okay, we wrote it up. But it's when you saw the book and you saw the artwork and you saw the drawn boobs, people were like, "Oh my god, this story's amazing!" So this
well, because those boobs were amazing.
Those boobs were amazing.
Yeah. There was actual titty physics for it.
And actually, the story is great.
It's about zombies or something. There's zombies too.
Something to do with zombies
too. Yeah.
But yeah, the thing is also for that like $100 prize, you might be able to get an artist to create like simple sketch of the character too. I mean, so we have the visual then.
Yeah, like if you need help to sort of visualize your character, so you can at least present it to other people if you can't get a book made of it.
And people are certainly encouraged to fill out the Comicsgate wiki with their character concepts and say, I've created it, but it's here if you want to go with it. And this is published under the open license. But for me, I think it's all about the story. That's where people buy is in the story. Because like Indiana Jones, if you look at a write-up of Indiana Jones, he sounds dumb. An archaeology professor who's
I remember watching the movie the first time, and I had no idea he was the main character. I was like, which one's the main character? It's just like two guys. Throw me the whip. Throw me the idol.
Yeah, that's right. Who's the main character here? They're just a couple guys trying to read it too. So also the Timothée Best saying, would people getting visibly shot and killed count as adult, which is kind of an interesting distinction.
Oh, that depends on the blood, I think.
See, this is the great thing about a wiki. Let's say. So share screen.
I would think it depends on the actual, like the visceral, violent aspect of it.
Yeah, the gore.
How gory it is.
And for this, I have to thank Jennifer because she helped fill out this part. So I think we borrowed this straight from Marvel. But see, K+ is kids and everyone, no violence, foul language, or nudity. T+ for teens, 12+, some violence but not graphic, small amount of foul language, but nothing that would be in a PG or in a PG rated movie. Small amounts of nudity, but no graphic sex scenes. And A is adult themes and stories that may be suitable that may be unsuitable for younger audiences, such as graphic descriptions and depictions of war, political unrest, historical tragedies, etc. And A+ is for adults 18+, may or does contain graphic violence, use of foul language, nudity, possibly graphic.
That's kind of the way it is with movies right now. Is they have G and then they have PG. And I don't think anyone even makes G-rated movies except for like Bible movies or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Bible cartoon movies nowadays. But back in the day, I think Barbarella was PG. They didn't have, they didn't have PG-13
It came out before there were ratings. Period.
Yeah, before there were ratings.
Ratings.
I think it actually did come out before ratings.
Yeah,
because Barbarella was like 1969 or something.
Yeah, it was just at that era, and they were like, we need some kind of rating system. You know what though? I think Holy Grail, Monty Python, Holy Grail, that was like PG.
Yes.
There was something else. There's something really specific.
A guy. They completely dismember a guy.
Not because of any of the things in the rating that I wrote, but it was PG because of how it made fun of religion.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there wasn't.
How can we take your headset off when you talk?
Because I'm echoing.
No, you're not.
It's actually not echoing now.
It's not echoing right now.
Yeah, like you're echoing to yourself because you can hear your voice coming out of your head, and then you can hear it later through the headphones.
Oh yeah, that creates an artificial echo or something.
Yeah.
And then a real echo.
Yeah, I guess it becomes a real echo technically.
Yeah, and in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, they dismember a guy by chopping off both of his legs and both of his arms.
Both arms.
All right, John, are you gonna be presenting? Is John joining Comicsgate trademark? Because that would be cool. Because like he's been a screenwriter for a while, and I know he's out there in Florida, hopefully surviving both the quarantine and the riots, and he's been trying to make the story thing work. So I hope you're gonna be presenting.
Yeah, well, I would want to join this, not even with the intention or expectation of winning the money, just because I want to make sure that there's going to be a lot of different entries.
Right. All right. So now this one is a tricky question here. Insensitive depictions of groups.
Like
yes.
Certain demographics.
Right. Yes. I mean, here's the thing.
That is tricky for any publisher.
The reason people love the Nazis is it's the only group we can put on the screen that everyone can go, yeah, they're bad. Like everybody else you put on the screen, like 300, the Persians are invading. Well.
Yeah, hold on. That's not inappropriate.
That's inappropriate. But whenever the Nazis, yeah, you can kill those guys. Those are perfect bags.
Something about the Hugo Boss uniforms too make them like visually striking.
Really cool.
Nobody loves Nazis more than Hollywood.
Exactly. So. Yes, I feel you can do depictions of groups, but or insensitive depictions of
that
groups.
would be on the author, though. Knowing that they could end up getting in trouble, but
I will rate it towards a more adult audience because I don't want a kid to be reading it and come away going, Persians suck, or something like that.
Somebody just straight up comes up with a comic book adaptation of Mein Kampf or something.
Right, and you can't do that. I don't want. I don't want calls for
genocide. That is honestly, especially since we're just getting off the ground with this, we're trying to build up a movement that's going to be healthy for writers. I don't want them to be like associated with, that's the comic company that made Mein Kampf into a comic book.
Right. Yeah.
I wouldn't want that either.
And I gotta say, like, I've become a little bit less laissez-faire due to my recent experiences with targeted harassment. I'm like, you know what?
Yes.
I don't think anybody should really have to go through this. I think
when I was younger, I was very free speech, a free speech absolutist.
Absolutist, yeah.
A militant pro free speech. And nowadays, it's like, you know what? All these other people don't want others, including me, to have free speech. So I have to change. I have to adapt.
Right.
By the way, also, it's not a movement. It's not actually any movement. No. It's a trademark with, like-minded creators or something like that.
Yeah, there are principles behind it. That doesn't make it a movement.
Principles are definitely better than a movement.
So, like, if, Stormfront wanted to make Stormfront the comic book, I'd probably say no.
Yeah. You got to be used to doing indie. You got to be used to going completely independent. And that
I'd say let's get this off the ground first before we decide to make Stormfront the comic or the Unabomber Manifesto the comic.
Manifesto, yeah, exactly. So
thank you.
There
Voice
we go.
Of reason.
There we go. Awesome. So yeah, we're probably going to be for one, like insensitive depictions of groups probably will steer it more towards the more adult ratings. But I'm not going to advocate for depicting but you can't get published if you're depicting a group as just inherently genetically inferior or something like that. You can't do that.
I would very much appreciate the freedom to create a story that was like open with being able to talk about these riots. You can't even do that nowadays. You can't call a fat girl fat on Twitter without getting banned. You can't talk about these riots without.
You can't even you get shadow banned if you even talk about the coronavirus.
Stormfront the hentai. Ooh, you suddenly have my interest.
Or storefront.
Storefront the hentai.
How do you make hentai out of a storefront?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Smash the counters together.
And that's the thing, the communist benefit, and
that is a hateful book right there, the Communist Manifesto. But nobody seems to have a problem with it.
I like Chrissy, and Chrissy is a customer of mine, and I'm not going to badmouth her. But she and Renfamous and all those have been going off with the riots. They basically, and Renfamous has been saying violence is necessary in order to bring about political change. And I'm just sitting here rolling my eyes.
You really don't want to give if you're saying that, you really don't. It's like that thing we just saw that video. ROTC posted it. I mean, I'm on your side. People are smashing their storefront, and they're like, "But I'm with you. I'm on your side." And then
that was just somebody's storefront. That was just somebody's apartment.
Yeah,
somebody's apartment. They're like, "Hey, yeah, we support you," and then their windows get smashed in, and they scream, "We're on your side!" And it's like, no, nobody's on anyone's side.
And this is something you definitely don't want to be giving a license to. Is oh, we need violence. And it's like, you really don't want to give a license to accepting violence.
Yeah. Once that's okay,
violence one side that wants to take away everyone's guns, and the other side that has probably been practicing with guns since they were 6 years old.
Right. But the one thing I was just referencing Chrissy for is on Twitter, she was quote tweeting somebody, and she was recharacterizing what they said and saying, look, Antifa is made of good people, Marxists are good people, but in what universe are fascists good people? To which I replied, the universe where fascists are good people is right next to the universe where Marxists are good people, and neither one of them is this universe. So
yes,
cut up the nonsense. Yeah, the Communist Manifesto is absolutely a hateful ideology, and Antifa is a hate group. So I don't want to hear it.
It's called anti-fascist, and it was called that because it actually was fascist, and they were trying to hide the fact that it was Nazis a pro-communist group.
In the early 30s, the Nazis actually referred to themselves as anti-fascists. That is a fact. That was what the Nazis called themselves.
Well, look, ultimately, when you get communists and fascists together, they do hate each other, and they do identify themselves as distinctly separate groups. But they're both made up of horrible people who, from my point of view, are just different flavors of authoritarian.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that either. Yeah. A lot of people don't know what a fascist actually is, what the political ideology of actual fascists. They're just like, Trump's a fascist.
Right.
No, he's not.
Right.
Believe me, if he was a fascist, you wouldn't be allowed to say Trump.
Yeah, you wouldn't even be saying. Yes, you would be dead for saying that.
There was a Babylon Bee headline I really liked that I shared on Facebook like a year or two ago. Is multiple media outlets declare President Trump a fascist with no fear of repercussions whatsoever.
Yes.
So, anyway, but yeah. All right, so I think that's today's stream. I'm hoping to get a lot of entries, so we got 3 weeks coming down. I hope John Lamont's going to be interested, and I will be spending the next few days finishing up the wiki. I'm going to set up some templates to make it easy, so when you go in for your character, you can just click template, drop in the info, and it'll format it for you, and it should be pretty simple. So
if you start putting it up on Twitter, I'll start sharing it.
Okay.
Yeah. Get around to doing it.
Yeah.
Yes, we will definitely need all of you who participate in this. We're going to want anybody who's on board with this to put it onto their social media channels. We need it the word spread as much as possible.
Indeed. There we go. And people are already we're going to be spreading.
I would actually recommend sending it to CO on 4chan and maybe Kiwi Farms. I don't know.
They might get pissed off about that.
But Kiwi Farms might get a little mad. And I'm not getting banned because it's way too.
They will get pissed off, but that should not stop anyone.
But yes, they'll get pissed off. They'll ban you. They'll block you. They'll report your post. But some people might be like, you know what? I'm going to try that anyways, though. So
$2,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
people really going to say no to that?
Exactly.
Not unless they get it shut down somehow.
No, I don't want $2,000 to finally make my first comment.
I don't want $2,000. I don't want anyone else to have $2,000 either.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, you're kind of proving what we've been saying for a long time about comic book fans.
Well, gee, what are the chances
farmers
of that?
have been paying close attention.
Wait. So. I don't often hear a geology joke. So there was a dictator made of stone. He was a fascist.
His words are made of shell, and you're calling me a liar.
Awesome. So there we go. I'm looking for. So next week I'll be presenting some more Rift pages, unless we get a whole bunch of script entries, and I'm looking forward to seeing what people come up with for the contest. And
definitely going to be taking part in that myself. But yeah, I'm going to try and tell people about it too.
Cool.
Yeah, and I got a script ready, but I want to join the contest first, so I'm going to keep the script for after that.
Fantastic. Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, say good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Data.
And this has been Press and Poker of Pocket Jacks Comics. Thank you very much for your time, everyone. Take care.
Bye.